But for me, I sit here now speaking to you, answering the questions that you put to me, and the words and the truth will come from my lips. I will sit here and speak truth to you with the words that come out of my mouth.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Every villain is a hero in their own mind. The Markles are no different. Right now, Harry is out there promoting his book Spare while granting his sinister soulmates every wish, making our Hollywood dreams come true because he's producing a psychological snuff series with these whole blood sport interviews on Good Morning America, ITV, and 60 Minutes. And all for what? Simply to feather Meghan's nest and hurt the royal family. Harry is so high on hate, he snorts anger to smile and smokes spite in order to profit from manufactured pain. It's time to take off the gloves. How do we know the Markles are slowly running out of cash? Because you have a weaponized hypocrite who's restarted a round-the-clock whine-a-thon to get revenge simply because he was born second. What's going on, everybody? I hope all of you are having a phenomenal day, my friends. Every great life has to be earned. It can't be lived on the backs of others. So how do you keep the money train running on time? Well, Harry starts spinning stories for the spotlight, and he started by stabbing his country and family in the back.
I love my mother country, and I love my family, and I always will. I just wish, at the second darkest moment of my life, they'd both been there for me.
Soon after Megflix, Harry, like any old snake, shed his skin and fully transitioned from a half-wit hater to a full-time bona fide royal traitor. And then I realized that the couple had more in common. You had the Duke of Do-Nothing and his doppelganger Duchess not only demanded to be worshipped by everyone, but they switched up roles every once in a while. Sometimes Meghan would play the sidekick, and other times Harry would take the lead, drawing first blood. Right now, it's Harry's time.
A couple of things. You talk about accountability. In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
Well, the British press said that.
What?
When I was pregnant, concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
The British press said that. That conversation I'm never going to share.
What?
Did Meghan ever mention they're racist?
How dark his skin might be when he's born.
The British press said that. I'm never going to share.
What?
So really, you want us to say that we were just imagining you and Meghan throwing mud at the royal family, branding them as racist in the Oprah interview. That means along with your grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, and your grandfather, Prince Philip, while he was dying in his bed.
That conversation I'm never going to share.
I find it funny how some people conveniently forget the facts when they're hurtful to them. That's why I like the internet. It's forever. See, the hater and the hustler, they wanted you to draw that conclusion from the Oprah interview, what they were intimating that the royals were racist. But see, if you go, well, I didn't hear the word specifically, no problem. All you got to do is look at the proof. A few weeks ago, back in 2022, the couple attended this $1 million a seat gala where they were baptized and minted as these new knights of the orders of the social justice woke warrior grifters.
And that's what Meghan Markle and Prince Harry did. They went to the biggest institution, the longest standing institution, and they said, you know, we can't have this structural racism within this institution.
You accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
The British press said that.
And then Kerry Kennedy came out and gave him the Ripple of Hope Award for fighting and standing against structural racism in the royal family. Did the couple say anything? Not a word. They were silent as mice. See, that's a fact. It's indisputable. It's not a perspective. It's not an opinion. It is now history. But what I find most interesting are the Markles' court jesters. Those are the media shoe flies, the bootlickers of theirs who are trying to convince viewers not to believe your lying eyes or your ears. They're saying, don't trust what you're seeing, don't trust what you hear. And I'm saying, why don't you evaluate who Harry really is? Not in your mind's eye how you remember him as a boy growing up with his sweet, charming smile, but who he is now, the cheap celebrity who's posing as a prince, the man who is now an abuser, simultaneously lavishing praise on his family while dishing out the abuse, reserving the punches for the women while stabbing the men straight in the gut.
Those certain members have decided to get into bed with the devil, right?
And then I realized something. It dawned on me that Harry would always prepare his eventual attacks by lavishing a lot of love and boasting how much he cared about people just a few minutes before. To me, that's a grade A abuser.
I love my father, I love my brother, I love my family. I always do. Nothing of what I've done in this book or otherwise has ever been to, any intention to harm them or hurt them.
What?
Inevitably, all those positive words of love would turn to ash in his mouth.
He'd always given an air of being not quite ready for parenthood. Even he, though a proud man, would have admitted as much. But single parenthood, Pa was never made for that.
Daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair.
So let me get this straight, Harry. You're declaring now that you love your father, King Charles III, the head of the British monarchy, the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth nations, a man who's responsible for millions of people around the world. But you're saying with 100% certainty and absolute fact that he was either unwilling or unable to raise a son as a single father. I got that. So you're saying that's a compliment, and in no way is it meant to be hurtful or shame him or in any way damage his name or reputation. Okay, we're on the same page. Yeah. So Harry continued to profess his positive emotions about his family.
And you wrote, I even wanted Camilla to be happy. Maybe she'd be less dangerous if she was happy.
Mm-hmm.
How was she dangerous?
Because of the need for her to rehabilitate her image.
That made her dangerous.
Regardless how we originally were introduced to Camilla before she became the queen consort, unlike Meghan Markle, Camilla has spent years in service to the crown. She has dedicated her life in service to the people. That's how she has earned their respect.
I want to sort of just briefly talk about your stepmother in the press, because you are pretty consistently scathing and suggest that you are...
Scathing?
Well...
What's scathing?
And you can notice Harry in that interview with ITV's reporter Tom Bradley, how he was caught off guard for a moment when the reporter said, hey, you know what you wrote in the book? It's quite scathing about Camilla. He didn't like that, so he started sharing some of his delusions.
There's no part of any of the things that I've said are scathing towards any member of my family, especially not my stepmother.
But Harry really reserved most of his anger for his brother William.
I've always loved my brother.
Bullshit. You said his alarming baldness, more advanced than my own, his famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time. It's pretty cutting.
I don't see it as cutting at all.
And you're going to say, George, what was the purpose of that clip? Sharing how Harry was saying his brother was going balding and he no longer had those famous looks where he looked like his mother. That's a brother trying to cut his older brother to the core, to get right to his soul and rip it in and pull it out.
Whoa.
Who treats someone like that? See, they have bonded over the trauma of their mother's death. And he's trying to show William, you know, I understand her now more than you. I'm fighting for her more than you. I am her standard bearer now. You are not. You were in, but now you're out. You were good, but now you're bad. You were light, but now you're on the dark side. I think Harry is using any mechanism to get under his skin. And I think that clip gives you a little bit of insight more into his character, which tells us something. I don't think Harry really understands the picture he's painting of himself. On one hand, he's boasting about how much he loves William and Kate.
I always hoped that the four of us would get on.
And on the other hand, you see how he's consumed with hate.
You refer to your brother as your beloved brother and arch nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Luckily enough, we had one moment of unadulterated honesty that broke right through the Hollywood fiction.
Because the moment William married Kate, they went through a large portion of the same things that Meghan and I went through.
Unfortunately, you had the abuser revert to form and started acting like a victim and start complaining.
That again, I've spent a lot of money through legal trying to find some form of reconciliation.
You're going to have to forgive my language. This is complete bullshit. Harry's talking about, oh, I tried to make the, solutions. I tried to go through attorneys and the legal way. I spent money. It's called a phone. Text message. Better than that, when you were living on Frogmore Cottage, it was a brisk 9-minute walk, if you look it up on Google Maps, between your back door and your grandmother's back door. That's what a good grandson would have done. You'd have walked over there. These are my problems. This is what I want to do. But this isn't about a solution. This is about a temper tantrum. You wanted to have your cake and eat it too. They said no. There's tradition, there's rules, there's right, and there's wrong. So we have to understand. How do we tell the difference between the good men and the bad men in this story? See, Harry, he starts Spare by recalling his memories about his mother, Princess Diana's death. He's trying to draw people in by tugging on their heartstrings, proving yet again that without her, he has no story. But it also means he'll use anyone, use any memory, shame any person around him in order to achieve his goals, even reminding the viewers about his delusions.
I genuinely believe, and I hope, that reconciliation between my family and us will have a ripple effect across the entire world.
Then if you really want an example of what a real gentleman is, a true man, we look to Prince William. He took the high road of honor. He was silent in order to honor his family and every British citizen.
You hurt by the comments in Harry's book, sir?
See? And that's the problem right now with Harry. His lies are starting to birth new lies. But what really gets under my skin is he's now starting to lie by omission.
His grandmother, the Queen, was under medical supervision at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. You were not invited on that plane.
I was not invited.
So then he's sitting here going, how come he wasn't invited? Well, it's simple. You're trying to act hurt why you weren't taken on the plane by your family.
I made peace with it. I was willing to let a lot of it go back in 2020 when we left the country. And if living in a new country, minding our own business during lockdown, not saying anything, not doing anything that would affect the British media at all.
I can explain it to you, Harry, but you think you're the smartest cat in the room, especially when it comes to your family. You treat them like they're morons. But if you want me to recap for you, I can do that for your drug-addled brain. Simply enough, the British media, the royal family, and every citizen in your country understood one thing. During your grandmother's time when she had been diagnosed with cancer and when Prince Philip was dying, you started shooting Meg flicks in order to bring down the monarchy and elevate your hustler wife to a star status so she could live the celebrity life. And then you contracted with a ghostwriter who could write your fantasy revenge story in order to satisfy the 2-year-old boy inside of you who was butthurt for being born second. You're spilling the beans, inventing dirty laundry, and sharing intimate conversations. And you're asking why they didn't want you on the plane with them? It's the same reason why the backlash is growing against you with your book Spare, which really should be called Spare Us, because you're no longer the spare. You're fifth in line to the throne. At one point you were, but no longer.
The most dangerous lie that they have told is that I somehow boasted about the number of people that I killed in Afghanistan.
And then you got Colbert. You're trying to convince him that the media has taken you out of context. Did they write 25 people are the ones you killed of Taliban? Did they are the ones who said they were chess pieces and not human beings? You wrote that. You and your ghostwriter did that. Now you're trying to spin a new story saying, hey, they're not understanding me. My motivations were for emotional health. I'm trying to help veterans. Well, I spoke to a lot of soldiers. They said, they don't talk that way. They don't sit there and boast about how many people they kill. But see, I think this is a big bear trap from you. I think you put it out there so the press would report it, because obviously they're going to read the book. So then you can say, hey, I've now been targeted by the Taliban across the seas. I'm in danger. Maybe tug on your family's heartstrings to get someone to pay for your security. But it's not working.
But here we are, and we have created a fantastic life here in California, which is, by the way, is beautiful, and America is a great place to live.
And then what did you do? You decided to rope in Stephen Colbert because he didn't do his research, to throw England under the bus and to toss a bone to America by saying this is the greatest place to live.
And America is a great place to live.
Unfortunately for you, I did my research on you, and I understand exactly what you think of our Constitution.
I got so much I want to say about the First Amendment. I still don't understand it, but it is bonkers.
What's most bizarre about Spare, it's not so much a book as a mechanism to reassert control for Harry and Meghan. And control is always a reaction to fear. See, they want to re-engineer the narrative. They want to reassert their position, what their perspective is, because that's how they need to survive, how they need to make money. But when you step back and you look at the whole picture, you know what you realize? Harry was asked the question point blank.
Why not renounce your titles as Duke and Duchess?
And what difference would that make?
What?
Now, see, a man who truly loved his family, who unconditionally loved his wife and unconditionally loved his kids, when he was asked, would you give up the titles? He'd say yes in a minute, because he doesn't need it. He's got his contracts going. But he knows without the titles, he has nothing to earn a living. But his family would be protected. You know why? There are 44 monarchies around the world. How many can you name? Most people outside of those nations don't know who they are. You got kings and queens and their heirs who are living peaceful lives and no longer in the headlines after a few years. You know why? Because they're no longer making headlines. But that's when you do, when you really love someone and you're not playing a long con. The good news is, Harry is pretty much like a dog chasing his tail in a circle. But one day he's going to bite it and then jump up and demand an immediate apology and compensation. In the end, the truth will out. If you enjoyed the video and found value in it, you want me to keep going, keep digging, keep looking at the book, tearing it apart and looking at the interviews and sharing it with you, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, share with your family, friends, and coworkers, and leave your thoughts and questions in the comments down below. And remember, we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Always forward.